Hey everybody, I am Donna Moore Powers and I am going to be your instructor for your microbiology online lab this summer. I prefer to go by Professor Powers, so thank you for addressing me that way. I wanted to start with the expectations for this course. So you signed up for a 5-week online lab science course. For some of you, microbiology may be the hardest class that you've had in the sciences because you're likely going into an allied health program. And so you've had some science like maybe principles of A&P 1 and 2. And so microbiology is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be going down to much more of a cellular level and subcellular level. And so keep this in mind that this course may seem much different than your other science labs. And then having it online is a next level of making it a little bit more difficult. And then on top of that, it's in the summer and we have a 5-week course. So the way that this goes is essentially we take our 14-week course and we are truncating it or shortening it into 5 weeks. So essentially where my full semester courses would have a whole week to do the labs, you're going to do essentially just over 2.5 weeks of labs in 1 week. So it's doable, but I want you to listen to me very carefully. You want to not put off looking at what's due for the week. You want to carve out the time necessary, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, a couple of times a week to make sure that you're on top of your microbiology lab work. Now, we have many of our labs are virtual labs through McGraw-Hill Connect. Sure, it's easy to get a perfect score on that, and that's going to help your grade and all of that. What the hard part is learning the virtual material. So to help you, our resident microbiologist who designed this course and has been teaching it for, 28, 29 years, she put together an actual lab manual that follows along with the virtual Connect labs. I will tell you that most of our science faculty hasn't even done anything close to that. So essentially what Dr. Gustin did was watch and do the Connect virtual labs and then put together questions of the most important points from those labs, the results from those labs, and so on, so that you have a place to put the answers. Okay? If you've taken virtual labs before, you do the virtual lab, it's one and done. Okay? Then somewhere up in your noggin, you've got this material spinning around in your head. Unless you're taking notes over those labs, then you're likely not going to retrieve the level of detail that you need for lab assessments. Okay? So I get it. In the Principles of A&P 1 and 2 class, there are a few Connect virtual labs, but in this course, I would say 80% of our labs are McGraw-Hill virtual labs. So it gets to be a lot. So twice a week, you're going to have labs that are due. So that's why I'm saying it's super imperative that you sit down, have the time, not to knock it off while you got your kids running around or you're distracted with TV or you're on a break from work. Like, I understand you can do that. I did go through our nursing program a few years ago just because I was like kind of bored and wanted to check it out. Okay, I have a PhD in biology. I've already been to graduate school. I was in graduate school for 7 years. So I didn't need to do that for any particular reason. I thought maybe I want to be a nurse when I retire from CCC. So I've been through PAP 1 and 2. So I understand kind of what the workload is like and what the expectations are like. But in this class, I just want you to say to yourself, I got to carve out the time to sit down undistracted from TV, from kids, and trying to squeeze it in over your lunch break. I try to do that too with some nursing things. I did actually pass nursing, by the way, and I did get my NCLEX, or pass that. And I did work as a nurse for a while. But anyway, what I want you to do is just make sure you're carving out the time. You can do this. There's no doubt that if you're taking this class that you're ready to do this, but you have to put your time, your intentions, your energy into making sure that you're carving out the time for the course. Okay. So with that being said, so here's our course. It is separate from your lecture course. Professor Pendel has his course layout, and of course I have my layout. We kept it separate because you're going to see it gets a little bit, there's just a lot, okay? All right, so start here. So this is just going to be this actual lecture. If you found it, this is where you found it. And then you're linked directly to your e-textbook, which will have the Recharge, SmartBook, and the virtual labs. So let's look at the syllabus real quick. So essentially, unlike some of your other online courses that might just have Sunday due dates or Monday due dates, we have 2 due dates a week. And that's because I want to set out the course so that you're doing things in a way that's going to allow you to learn the material and be successful in this course. So there is going to be, most weeks, the Wednesday due date for labs and then your Sunday due date. This first week, since we have Memorial Day on Monday, I give you till Thursday to do the normal labs that would be due midweek, okay? So that's an exception the first week. So every other week, you will have Wednesday due dates and Sunday due dates, except for the last week, we will need to have a Saturday due date because that's when our course ends. So here is the lab syllabus. So here's my name, my email, my office location. So if we need to meet on campus, I'm here in Schuyler Hall, downstairs where there's a suite of offices, A, B, C, D, and then there's the copy room. We will schedule office hours as you need them. I will be flexible because I'm not teaching on campus face-to-face. If we scroll down here, lab sessions. So each week is divided into a part 1 where assignments are due on Wednesday of that week, except for this first week, it'll be due Thursday. And the part 2 labs are going to be due on Sunday. And of course, in general, I'm thinking the end of the day, so 11:59 p.m. Okay, lab assessments. So when you see VL, that's the virtual lab. So this is McGraw-Hill Connect. I'll have a link right there in our weeks folder. So you can just go down, check off the ones that you've done and completed. Occasionally, there has been a really excellent assignment that's better done with the McGraw-Hill SmartBook. So occasionally you'll have a lab assignment that's really associated with your e-text, but if you're following along in that week's material, you're going to knock off 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is the SmartBook. So click on it. It'll take you there. You will have lab quizzes. So the lab quiz literally comes from the questions in the lab manual. I mentioned that before. I'll show you where to find it in a moment. But that lab manual is going to be your resource to doing the lab quizzes. Now, note, the lab quiz is timed. It's timed based on the number of questions that I'm asking you for those virtual labs, okay? So 12 to 16 minutes or so is kind of just an average. The thing is you do get to use your lab manual. If you have not done the virtual labs, and you're just trying to wing it, you cannot do that in 12 to 16 minutes, okay? So I know the thinking that goes into that, like, oh, I can just look it up online. No. It's specifically about activities and results and so on that you documented when you were doing your virtual labs. So the lab quizzes are like that, open book. And we have 2 lab practicals. And those lab practicals then is sort of the semi-cumulative for the labs that we had before then. And it will be closed book, and it will be with the Respond as Lockdown browser with the video monitoring. So it is not open book. So if you're doing it right, if you're taking your time each week, doing your virtual labs, extracting what you've learned, put it in your lab manual, you're taking the lab quizzes, which is based on your work that you've documented in the lab manual, then you'll have all the notes that you need to go into the lab practical and do that fine, easy breezy, being closed book and with lockdown browser, okay? So again, you can do this. You just want to plan to make the time. Okay. So there's some information here about Respondas. Chromebooks don't work. iPads do work. Occasionally there's something hinky going on. What I'm going to tell you is I don't accept late work. Okay. Virtual labs, forget about it. You do it, you get your points. Everybody gets their points if you do it. So I've just made it my policy. I'm not going to do makeup lab work. So you have time to do it. And I'm asking you to carve out that time. So if time management is a problem, then that's something that you need to fix. Missing a few of those virtual labs is not the end of the world, but you do want to get the information by the time that you're doing the lab quiz and lab practical. So yeah, you do you if you're not going to do all the virtual labs. But the lab practicals, they are due at a certain date and time. And unless you have a family emergency, which means you're going to give me documentation, then I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Just do it Monday. Just do it Tuesday. As soon as anyone in a summer class, particularly a faculty member, is saying, oh, yeah, it's okay, it's an avalanche for failure. And I'm not going to do that to you. Okay, so So I strongly suggest that you always print out your syllabi in your online classes because now you can check off what you've done. So you see here, what's due Thursday this week, but normally would be Wednesday, the part 1 labs. You have the tutorial, and then you have 6 labs to do. We're 2 points each, right? So if you didn't do it, 2 points. I'm not making that. I'm not going through all of that to, to give you an extension for a 2 point something or other. If you miss all of them, okay, so you're even the quiz, you're missing 20 points. That's not the end of the world. That's not the most worrisome thing. The most worrisome thing is not carving out the time to do the work that you need to do. So this lab assignment will be connected with the SmartBook, and you'll see there'll be a link right in our module here in our microbiology online lab section. So it goes. Again, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. Last week, Wednesday, Sunday. I think this is supposed to end on Saturday because of the course closing, but I'll check into that and give you an announcement at some point. So let's just take a peek. I have some things hidden right now because I needed to get access to essentially the McGraw-Hill Connect lab so I could put them in here. So here we go. This is what it will look like. So each week when you're sitting down to do your work, you start at the top and go down. You're able to either check that you've done it or it will check automatically so you know you've done it. So you go down top to bottom and do these labs, okay? Again, the lab manual you should print, and then here is the lab quiz. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. Let me go and show you where it says lab book, print this entire book. So you don't need it in color. If you're like me and you have a printer that doesn't automatically do duplex, then with some careful consideration, you print it on one side and you turn it over and put it back into the area where you put your printer paper. And I would practice on a sheet first, but then you can print the odd pages. So I always print odd and then even. So you do you, but anyway, here is the lab manual. You're going to see that there's already built-in videos here. So you might come across those. Of course, the virtual lab, go to this week's Brightspace module and complete that. Lab safety, and then here's some questions. Okay, so this is going to be excellent for you to use. Now, I do want to make mention, sometimes you will see Dr. Gustin. Again, she's been our resident microbiologist, and she's the one who really made this microbiology course online lab doable in keeping it with the standards that students need so they're going to be successful. So you will see her here and there, so I wanted to give her credit. And she will have some videos. So I think this is it for now. Let me know how I can help. I will be sitting here uploading the labs for the first week and unhiding these. Yeah, and anyway, I'm excited you're in this class, and if anything that you're going to learn from me is going to be, okay, time management, and appreciation for really the lab work associated with microbiology. Maybe some of you will go, wow, I never realized that this was interesting to me, and might take a little slight detour in your journey. Maybe go into lab tech or biotech or something like that. So anyway, reach out. I'm always here to help, and I'll see you soon.